I turned to Seth. I'm like, okay, they're down at the 2. Like, maybe they should run the ball outside this week. And then they run the pitch to Woody Marks. I'm like, hey, look at that. It worked. I shouldn't be the one coming up with solutions that they can't come up with. So, yeah, from a coaching standpoint, and the crazy thing about Tommy Togiai is they shouted from the rooftops in the preseason about how awesome he was. Usually with a guy usually it's the opposite. Usually they're playing a guy like that, and we're going, what the hell are you doing playing Tommy Togiai all the time? But they themselves, D'Amico Ryan said, this guy's the most consistent guy on the team. And then in the weirdest sequence of events, he's inactive, gets a contract extension, and then is inactive again. Like, there's some weird shit going on with this team this year sometimes, but that's number one. The kickoff return thing is so weird too, because it wasn't just that you got Tremont Smith and Damian Pierce out there. They were obviously fielding a ton of kickoffs in the first half of that game because they received the opening kickoff, and then the Jags couldn't stop scoring on them because they kept giving the ball to them. It was like they had a lotto ping pong ball machine on the sideline, and they were just picking two names out of the hat. I was expecting Ursery to go return kicks at some point because his ping pong ball came out. So that was weird. On the positive side, I loved the way that they handled the last drive of the game, both from a philosophical standpoint and from a play calling standpoint, that they decided to themselves first that they could run the ball enough against that team to be able to go, okay, we're going to turn this into this is it. And that was with 6 minutes left in the game. They got that ball back. And obviously you got to convert that 3rd and 10 to Dalton Schultz for any of this stuff to even matter. But I thought that was a huge throw by Davis Mills. And then once they were out from underneath the shadows of their own goalpost, they really kind of methodically put their minds to, hey, this team's on the ropes. I felt like the Jags were tired at the end of that 4th quarter. They were on the field a ton because the Texans defense was able to get 3 and outs there in the 4th quarter. And Nick Caley took advantage of it. So I love the play calling that they had in that quarter. I love the way they ran the football. I thought the fact that they flipped the script and that Woody Marks was the guy they were leaning on bell cow style, and that Nick Chubb was the change of pace, I thought really worked out well. The Chubb only had 5 carries in the game, probably had some fresh legs. So from a positive, I loved everything about the way that they handled that last drive of the football game.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I love the result, but I was kind of thinking that, man, do they need to play a little faster given the fact that they have one timeout? And I was shocked that they were still able to run the ball. So I thought the result was solid. I can't believe they were able to move the chains on the ground like they did at that point. That was as impressive as I can imagine. I don't even know how you have the guts to do that at that point. So I would.
But Landry, Caley is delusional about what they are in the run game. His delusion probably benefited him in that case, where he gets up in front of the podium. I mean, you the two of you are there every press conference. He's up there saying, what's your, someone asked, what's the DNA of your offense? And he's like, downhill physical running. The fact that the guy thought that actually came in handy in this game, where against this team, they actually could be a physical downhill running team that was burning clock.
Well, what you said, Sean, you said, hey, it looked like the Jaguars were a little tired. Trent Brown said as much, and that's a guy who hadn't played football in 14 months.
Right.
And he was like, yeah, even though I hadn't played a lot, I felt fresher than the guys we were playing. Like, we noticed we had worn on them to that point. So, to notice that, and I guess still have the delusion that you can go ahead and take advantage of that and it to work out. I, like Landry, was wondering, okay, are they going to try to make this the final drive? Like, this is the football game. And it became pretty apparent pretty quick that they were content, if this thing kept going well, to make that the final drive, or their final offensive drive, I guess I should say, of the game. And, once it got close to the 2-minute warning, there was no turning back. You didn't have enough time to stop the clock, and you had to get it in. And sure enough, they did on the legs of Davis Mills.
Yep. No doubt. Hey, let's mix in a couple folks from the chat before we get to kind of looking ahead, not just to the Titans game, but to the rest of the season. This is from Clayton in Oak Forest. Cody makes a good point. The question is, and I don't know what point this is going back to, so I apologize. But the question is, do we sign CJ? Is he elite enough, or do we end up with a little bit better than what the Jags have for quarterback? If anything, I'm hoping for, guys, these last, 8 games of the season, or 4 and 5, 8 games of the season, that whatever is going on the field, it's rescuing us from Do we or do we not extend CJ Stroud in the offseason? I just want to focus on football and what's happening over these next 8 weeks.
Yeah, I would love a definitive answer, and hopefully you're in a competitive enough run through this schedule where you're not in full on evaluation mode of literally everybody for the next season. So
Yeah.
we'll see how these next few weeks and this next month plus kind of plays out, because that really is going to kind of land them where they need to go, with finally getting able to play the Indianapolis Colts, that showing up on their schedule, and Buffalo on a short week after this Tennessee one. It could be intriguing. Yeah, you would love to have an answer one way or the other. Hopefully you're having a good answer in the midst of a promising back end of the season.
Right. And it's a good point to note that. Oh, sorry about that. Go ahead.